Hey guys, welcome back for episode 4 of Armchair Quarterbacks, Mile High Edition. This week we got a special guest. My name's Michael.
Nick Duran, and we got Mike's dad as our very first guest, Jim
Yeah,
Worth. Welcome to the show. Jim, how are you today?
we're doing good. Looking forward to the conversation. I enjoy the
Good.
show.
Good.
Excellent.
If you guys enjoy the show, why don't you take a second to like and subscribe here so we can grow this to more than the people that are seeing it on a regular basis. We want to grow this pretty big. So,
Well, we do appreciate the people that see it on a regular basis. We're not going
Yes,
to
we do.
discount them.
we
So,
do.
Jim, our whole concept with bringing you on today is to really kind of just talk through, sports from your viewpoint. You were a huge instrument in both Mike and I's life growing up from a sports standpoint. Coached both of us for many a years and pee-wee, football and t-ball and all that good stuff. And so, kind of started our sports journey with you. And so, we definitely wanted to get you on the show and kind of talk through just some sports from your angle. And so from a Bronco standpoint, because I know you recognize the Bronco shirt today. So, we'll just kind of center around that one. So from a Bronco standpoint, so what got you into football, from your standpoint, and kind of talk through that a little bit.
It's similar to what you said. My dad coached me. Always went to practice, was hanging around the football teams, doing it. Got to start practicing and found out that I really enjoyed playing. And not only playing, watching the game.
So, how long have you been a Broncos fan? You've been a long time. I know.
Yeah, I tell you that, let's say probably 50 some years, maybe longer.
So in all of those years, Jim, of being a Broncos fan, what you've seen some good teams and you've seen some pretty bad teams over those 50 years. Best team that you've seen play from a Broncos standpoint?
Well, the best team, I'm going to say it's going to be a toss-up between the Super Bowl 50 team and that team that beat Atlanta in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that Super Bowl 33 team, they were pretty loaded, offense and defense. I don't think they
dominant.
They didn't.
They might be the better of the two teams because they dominated on both sides of the ball.
It would be interesting to see if that offense, as good as it was, could have moved the ball on that defense. That would have been something.
Are you talking about if the 2015 offense moving it on the 99 defense?
Yeah, exactly. It would be as good as the defense was, or the offense was. The defense was not that great, but I don't think they were as bad as the 2015 offense.
I would take, from an offensive standpoint, I would take the 2012-13 Broncos offense versus the Super Bowl offense. There was a lot of problems with that Super Bowl offensive team. I mean, Brock Osweiler had to win 6 games that year to get us into the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I personally think the best Broncos team is not even a Super Bowl team. I think it was the year we got beat by the Ravens with that Hail Mary. I think that was the best team top to bottom that the Broncos have had. They were good. That was heartbreaking.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, I just said you always sort of associate good teams with winning a championship.
With winning the championship. You forget about the ones that lost, but that's history. You only remember the last team standing.
That was the coldest game I've ever been to.
Oh, you were at that game?
I was at that game. I think it was like when they kicked off for overtime, it was like -4 with the wind chill, like -10. So not only was it outside cold, and when we lost that game, it felt like -38 because it was just the most defeating game to ever be at. To know that you're so much better, and we would have won the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind if we would have beat that team, we would have won the Super Bowl. The nightmare more just can't get back on defense.
You've been to a lot of games. So out of all your games, what was your favorite or top 3 favorite games that you've been to? Because you've been to a couple AFC championships.
Yeah. Actually, I would rate all 3 of the AFC championship games I went to, which is back in '77 when we beat the Raiders. And Nick, at that time, that was probably one of the coldest games I ever went to, because I think at game time, kickoff was like just 12 degrees.
Ugh, no, thank you.
No, but hey, when the Broncos are winning, it was a little different than yours because it definitely was warm.
Yeah, you forget about it.
I don't think I ever That's probably the first time I ever went to a Bronco game where people just sat there after the game was over for 20, 30 minutes. They never left. And they didn't do the celebrations on the field like they do now.
Well,
They just,
that was the first AFC Championship game that the Broncos ever won,
yes.
right? Yeah.
And they
So it
lost.
was we didn't come from a winning history. Now it's like, well, these last few years have been hard, but it was almost getting expected that the Broncos make the playoffs, get a bye in the first round, finish with at least 10 wins. Now we just want to make the playoffs.
I mean, what we've had a drought 5 years, 6 years in a row of not making the playoffs. It's pretty frustrating. So being that you've been to multiple games and seen the team over, decades, favorite player or top 3 favorite players. I mean, there's been so many good. And let's do this. Let's do this, Jim. Top 3 offense, top 3 defense.
See, I always say my top 2 players, offense and defense, it's got to be Randy Gradishar on defense. It's got to be the worst thing that he still is not in the Hall of Fame. He just played at a bad era with all the Pittsburgh linebackers.
If he was switched and he was on Pittsburgh and Lambier was on the Broncos, there's no doubt that people would know who Randy Gradishar is, and he would probably
Completely
be considered the best linebacker to ever play.
Funnest guy to ever watch. And then you got to say for the other defensive would be Champ Bailey, another great defensive ball player that you thoroughly watch. But I'm a defensive guy, so all my guys always would be defensive players. But the third one, that's tough because there's so many that could be 3.
I mean, you gotta put Elway in, don't you? As a lifelong Broncos fan.
I just went defensive.
Oh, defense.
Pay attention, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
First,
Von Miller falls in number 3.
Von Miller. Okay. And do you think we should sign him? Is he worth the salary cap hit this year?
I'm hoping that he'll take a reduction.
Okay. Would you take a reduction, or should he take a reduction?
I'm gonna say possibly because he made his whole salary last year and he didn't have to play one game.
That's fair.
So he seems like he could give the Broncos a deal on this year.
That's fair. You got paid. You got paid for the year sitting out and rehabbing.
But here's the thing. Do you think players are more likely to take a reduction when they go to a championship team to win another ring versus take a reduction on a team that might not make the playoffs again? It's kind of, if I was a player, I'm going to be like, I'll take the reduction if I'm going to win.
Yeah. That's a tough one because I'm a loyal guy, moved to California.
Us young guys, we like to is what have you done for us now as a player aspect. The older generation, there was no free agency really, at least not like the free agency is now. You were drafted, you played, and you finished your career. Most likely. So now it's hard to even buy a jersey because you might have a player for 2 years who's your favorite and gone. So you might as well just draft a nameless jersey at this point, or buy a nameless jersey.
Just put your own name on the back.
Exactly. Or get it with Velcro. It's going to change.
So if you can make one move for the Broncos this year that would solidify them as a playoff team next year, what would it be?
I've never been a big Drew Lock fan, so I'm going to say we move for a quarterback somewhere along the line.
Move up in the draft for a new rookie, or go all in on Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson?
I'm going to say if it doesn't cost you too much of the future, I'm going to say go with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Because he's somewhat like a Peyton Manning. And I don't mean that caliber. I mean, he's a person you can build your team around.
Yep.
And we have most of the offensive weapons in place already. You just need someone to distribute the ball.
Yeah, I think we've held that sentiment for the last couple of weeks. If you could get Deshaun Watson, you get Deshaun Watson. I mean, you got him for 12 to 14 more years. So if you have to risk a couple years of not having draft capital, it might be worth it for the final 10 to 12.
Do you give up Justin Simmons, Jim? I know you're a defensive guy, but do you give up Justin Simmons for Deshaun Watson with some picks?
I'm going to say, yeah, I would. I mean, I thought Justin Simmons ended up with a good year, but he started off slow the first half of the season last year. he didn't really capitalize the way you would have expected a franchise player.
A $15 million safety.
Yeah, he did end strong. So
he does shovel his own driveway, though, in case anyone's wondering.
Are you guys neighbors?
Yeah, we live next to each other. He shovels his own driveway. This is great.
All right. Well, we enjoyed talking to you. I think what we should do is invite you to partake in our March Madness tournament. Me and Nick are going to fill out some brackets and talk about them next week. So we're going to let you join in. So if there's any trash talking or anything like that you want to involve.
Absolutely.
That sounds good.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thanks
guys.
for joining.
Thanks, Jim.
Man, you guys have a good show.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye. Uh-oh. He's struggling over there.
I know.
There he is.
It's
There
okay.
it
I mean, it can't be any worse than my frozen face of last week. So
Yeah, there was a good 7-8 seconds of
good
not knowing
7-8
what the
seconds.
heck was going on.
So speaking of March Madness, Mike, bracket just came out. CU Buffs a 5 seed against.
They got the 5 seed. Last time I checked, they hadn't gotten to the Buffs yet.
It is official. 5 seed against Georgetown.
Okay. I got faith in this team to go to the 16, but what I'm really upset about is how can you lose to Oregon State in the Pac-12 championship? Not only did you lose in the Pac-12 championship, but you probably cost CSU their bid. They're probably first 4 out, and that Oregon State auto bid is guaranteed to be a deal breaker for them.
Oregon State and I think and Georgetown, to be honest with you.
Was Georgetown an auto?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they probably would have been. They were better than CSU. They might have snuck in as the last 4 in.
But the thing right now for CSU is that they, if any team drops out due to COVID-related anything, they're the second team picked behind Louisville. So Louisville has that first shot, and then Colorado State is number 2. So if any of the 2 of the 68 teams drop out, Colorado State makes the tournament.
Okay. And you know what? CU is built to win this year. They got a lot of seniors, a lot of juniors. CSU's got a lot of freshmen and sophomores playing, so they'll be big. They'll be good next year. But
yes, but to your point though, like losing in the Pac-12 against Oregon State was a rough loss. I did have a couple losses like that over the season. It could have easily been, 25, 26 and 4, 25.
It could be a 3 seed this year. They could
absolutely
definitely be a 3
seed. And it just didn't. Did you watch the game last night?
I caught most of it, but I didn't see the final 10 minutes probably.
Watching it was like the whole game. It was slow for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just like we just never could get rhythm.
Yep.
We played from behind the entire game. I don't even think we took the lead all, but maybe from 38, 37.
They were down pretty much the entire game.
I'll give credit to Oregon State. They shot lights out in the first half. I mean, they were 6 for 9, 11 for 13 from threes in the first half. So they were going absolutely crazy from the 3-point line. And the thing that killed the Buffs, which is normally the thing that anchors that team, is their free throw shooting.
Yeah.
They're the best free throw shooting team in the country at 83%.
Mm-hmm.
Going to set the NCAA record for team free throw percentage. And they were 10 of 18 last night.
Yeah.
They lost by 2, missed 8 free throws. You make your free throws, or you make 6 out of, make 16 out of 18.
Or 13 out of 18.
Or 13 out of 18. You win the game. It's crazy to me how you lose to a team that, had no business being in that game.
Yeah. I mean, the Oregon State run is kind of like CU's run back when they won it, whatever, it was 6 or 7 years ago when they first got into the Pac-12.
It was like 2011, I believe.
It was like their first or second year in the Pac-12. They were not a good team. And they ran through the Pac-12 tournament. I mean, Oregon State beat Oregon. They beat UCLA, I think, too. And then VC. So they definitely beat the best teams in the conference to win it. So good for them, but it still shouldn't have happened.
No, absolutely not. But from a Colorado standpoint, Chatfield girls high school wrestling.
Yeah. So
what?
Girls high school wrestling state championship. So congratulations to you girls.
Yes.
Any of you see this? Congrats. But it's pretty cool. I mean, last year was the first year I read that they had girls wrestling in Colorado, and the tournament got stopped because of COVID. And about a year ago, it all shut down the whole sporting world, shut down the whole world entirely. and so they didn't get their chance to play or wrestle in the state tournament last year. So
You know what we need to do? If anyone watching knows anybody that wrestled
yeah,
at Chatfield on the girls team, reach out, tag us. We will get them on the show next week or the week after to
yeah,
talk through everything to give them some limelight. But if anyone knows anybody, please let us know. We'll try to get them on.
drop it in the comments. Message us in our inbox. It'll go straight to our email. So. Yeah, that would be really cool. Talk to one of the girls or a couple of the girls from the team.
Yeah,
With some congratulations.
excellent. So, Mike, I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you on this show, but I hate the Nuggets in the second quarter. They drive me crazy.
Oh my god!
They absolutely drive me crazy. Like, lost by 12 in the second quarter,
Yeah,
and it killed the momentum, and then we ended up losing the game.
I think at one point in time they were up like 25, 26 to 18 in the first quarter, and then by the end of the half they were down by like 62 to 52. So
Yeah,
they got outscored 17 points from 2 minutes left in the first quarter so that 14 minutes of the second quarter plus 2. They got outscored by 17 to 19 points, whatever it was. It was terrible. And the bench is got healthy over All-Star break. I mean, they're working their way in. Millsap had a terrible game. Jermichael Green had a terrible game. Jamal Murray's had 2 terrible games.
absolutely terrible game. And Michael Porter Jr. did not play that well.
He did not play that well. He was injured, or not injured. He couldn't stay out of foul trouble in that first half, but he did.
Correct.
He did get hot at the end, too little, too late. But key was Jokic still had a big game. He still had a big game in both games, and he's always so consistent. And
he had, and the crazy thing is just like what happens when he doesn't, because we're just getting so used to him being that consistent that it's like drinking a glass of water.
Yeah, what happens if Jokic has a bad game? I'll tell you what happens. We lose. There's no way that we win because unless every single player on the Nuggets team has an excellent game and Jokic has a bad game, we lose. There's only been a handful of games this year. The Lakers give him fits with Anthony Davis guarding him and LeBron James kind of playing a rover off ball. That's always given him fits. And we lost. We lost by like 20 points to the Lakers. But he doesn't have them very often.
No.
So I guess last night, you got 2 of the brightest stars in the NBA going against each other, Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, both foreign players, both extremely gifted and both considered top 5 to 10 players in the NBA.
Agreed.
Who do you take to start your franchise if you got a new team tomorrow?
Anyone?
No, those 2.
Oh, I got to pick those 2.
Those 2.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna pick Luka.
Luka. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pick Luka. He's a year younger.
I think he's like younger, 3 or 4 years younger. He's only like
he's younger. And he reminds me a lot. If I could, it's like I'm gonna mold 2 players together. It's like he as quickness and like kind of like just lankiness of like a Scottie Pippen. I think of him like that, but from like a scoring standpoint of like a Carmelo Anthony. And so not Carmelo Anthony size by any means in imagination, but more like looks like Pippen.
He's almost as close of a build in size as LeBron James since LeBron James has got here. He's a big boy. He handles
LeBron's a big guy.
Yeah, I mean now he doesn't compare to him now, but like when they were both 21, 22, very similar. But yeah, LeBron James is like the most massive person in the world.
But from a taking over a game standpoint, I just think Luka has that ability. I'm not saying Nikolai doesn't. I'm just saying from who I would start to build my team around, it would be Luka.
See, if I'm picking, and for the next 2 to 3 years, I am picking Jokic. I think he's the better player today, tomorrow, and the next year, and then I think Luka's probably going to pass him up as Jokic hits that 30-year-old mark. And Doncic is 26, 27. So he's still not to his peak prime level of play, and he's still got a lot of game to learn. So sadly, I'd pick him to start a 10 plus year career or team. But for today and tomorrow, I'm picking Jokic. I think he offers such a versatile aspect to the game. It gives teams fits having that point center who can control the offense at the top of the key, because
Right.
it's one team in the NBA can do that, and there's multiple teams who have a combo forward who control the offense. So you get a game plan that, and you get to see that more often. But the uniqueness of Jokic, it just makes him so hard and so valuable for the Nuggets. So today, Jokic. In the future, Doncic.
Well, I didn't realize that it was an option to pick both, but
Yeah,
thanks
well,
for.
I gave myself a loophole in there to stay a homer.
Uh,
I would take. I think Porzingis is like the perfect fit alongside Jokic. I think he's a rim protector who stretches at the 5. If they could ever match those two up somehow, those would be ideal. I've thought that for a few years though.
so there was a rumor mill that we might be trading your favorite player of all time, Will Barton.
I know if we could con the Sixers out of that one, because that's the team I saw that was interested. Now he's put up two good statistical games in a row, so I'm hoping that the Sixers don't go back and film and like see his whole season and just look at those last 2 games, and then we could get maybe a second round pick for him. Anything for him, just to get him out of the rotation. I think we're better without him in the rotation. I don't like his style. He had like 15 shots in the first 14 minutes of the game yesterday. I mean, he was shooting 50% or something like that, or just under 50%. So it's good, but I don't think your goal is to ever get Will Barton 15, 16 shots unless he is 13 for 15 or 13 for 16. 7 for 15 is a great stat line for the game for Will Barton. It'll be in the flow of the game. It'll be something that happens naturally, but he just
not in the first quarter.
No, God, he's got 6 man of the year skill set with Michael Jordan mindset. He wants to take over the game, and he's just not that guy.
I thought you were literally going to be like, he's got 6 man of the year, skill set with 246th man of the year.
Oh,
like reality check.
I don't want to hate on him so much because he is a good ball player. He's just not good for us. He is not good for us. I mean, I would take Malik Beasley back from the Timberwolves over Will Barton. I think he's a better scorer, a better fit for who we are. But
the only problem with Malik Beasley is he gets in fights with Bronco. He gets in fights with Bronco players in apartment lobbies and loses.
Maybe him and what's his name? The quarterback who was drunk and high, Chad Kelly. Maybe him and Chad Kelly can reunite, hang out or something. He's looking to play again. I saw an article where Chad Kelly's looking for his next opportunity.
I thought Chad Kelly was going to be halfway decent. I'm not going to lie. I really thought he was going to be good.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, if he didn't get hurt in his senior year, like his junior year in the SEC, if he had another year like he had his junior year in the SEC, he would have been a third, second round pick easy. Every Broncos fan thought he was going to be the guy when we got him in the 7th round. He wasn't a 7th round pick to us. He was our next quarterback. But yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Let's just hope that Will Barton is gone. I hope we can salvage something for him.
Well, we have to do something. We're not going to win the championship with the current team that we have. And I know we kind of touched on it a little bit on episode 1, but are the Nuggets, in your opinion, going to make a move at all this season?
The thing that's going to hurt, they could, if they could click, they can make a run at that 3rd seed. 2nd seed might be out of their reach because the Suns are playing so good. They can make a move to the 3rd seed if they start clicking. They need to get healthy. Gary Harris needs to come back to form from two years ago because he's been pretty bad the last few years with his shot. He's still a valuable asset on the defensive side of the ball, but he's went from like a 42-41% 3-point shooter who was putting up 18 points a game relatively easily when he was early in his career to he started the season like 27% from threes, and he got it going, but then got hurt. They need something from him because he's a big contract.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't think they have the pieces this year.
It's it would be another bubble miracle for them to make it to the Western Conference Final again. I think they got a first round win in them again, but it would be a long shot for them to make it past the second round.
No, yep, I completely agree with you. Rockies, spring training, you're living the good life in Arizona, not
Oh, yeah.
dealing with this 2 feet of snow that we have right now
It
in
is
Denver.
freezing cold in Arizona. Today it was like 47 degrees when I woke up.
Oh my
And it only
God.
got up to like 62.
So terrible. And it looks sunny. Is it sunny there?
It's sunny, but
Yeah.
there's a nip in the air. So don't think I got long sleeves on. It's kind of chilly out here.
There's a blizzard right now. There's a blizzard right now. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. We got a big player or big asset that could be coming back this year. Scott Oberg, our best pitcher from the bullpen in 18 and 19. He was by far our best pitcher in the bullpen, I thought.
Outside of
Ottavino. Ottavino in 18 was the guy. He was man.
Lights out.
Yeah. But yeah, so Oberg didn't play last year. I don't know the details of his injury, but it was like blood clotting or something. He had a rib removed or something weird like that. Can he come back? Can he be an asset to us? I hope he can.
I mean, time will tell. The Rockies pitching right now doesn't look half bad. Their starting rotation. I mean, they're only going 3 innings a game. However, they're in every game after the first 3 innings. Like, it's back to their bullpen of just blowing everything left and right from 4 to.
That was
4
the
to
story
8.
of last year.
100%. I know we talked a little bit about Austin Gomber, but he's thrown. He's 3-0. No earned runs, 8 Ks through his first 3 starts. Yeah. So I think we got some.
Marquez has looked good.
Marquez has looked great. John Gray pitched today. We lost 3-1, but he didn't give up a ton of runs. Our hitting just is still as inconsistent as we left 2020.
Yeah, and it's a lot of young bats that haven't seen a lot of major league pitching, and you're going to have to hope that somebody like Brendan Rodgers or Hampton or McMahon can step up and be those prospects that we hope they are, because that's what we need.
Yes. Brendan Rodgers, he's having a pretty good,
spring.
A good spring. He's
probably going to get the call up to the majors and get one of those infield spots.
He'll be on the opening day roster against the Dodgers on April 1st. I don't understand how we play the Dodgers. I feel like we open up with the Dodgers every year because the league wants us to start 0-4.
I mean, I think they go through and say, who's got the biggest payroll and who's got the most talent? Let's play the Rockies. The Dodgers, even when we're good, the Dodgers have our number, man. Like, when we were good last time we made the playoffs, 17 or 18, which was it? It was 17? No, it was 18.
18.
When we made the playoffs in 18, I think we got beat every series against the Dodgers. I don't think that year we were gonna win the division for the first time ever in the history of our organization, and we lost the last 2 games, which caused the playoff with the Dodgers, who had the 1-game playoff at LA, which they absolutely smoked us. Yeah.
And so it's just, whenever I see them on the schedule, I lightly pencil in an L on every single game, just in case we do win. I can erase it.
I don't even know if you got to lightly pencil it in this year. You could probably put it in normal pencil. Just, you don't have to worry about going back and making it darker.
I mean, it's bad though, because it's like, it's almost like, hey, like, we're guaranteed 19 losses.
Yeah, it's tough, and San Diego is going to be really tough this year too. So the NL West historically is pretty good. San Francisco has won some World Series. The Dodgers have won the World Series. Padres have been pretty bad, and the Diamondbacks have had a couple good years, and the Rockies have had a couple good years. But there's been a lot of World Series teams, or at least visits to the World Series inside the NL West in the last decade and a half.
Yeah, it's a really strong division. I think obviously the front runners are the Dodgers, followed very closely by the Padres, and then in the National League in total, the Braves I would put in third.
Yeah.
just from
The
from a talent standpoint.
Cardinals and Arenado are going to be really tough too this year.
Yep. So it's going to be a fun, even though the Rockies might lose 100+ games,
Yeah.
it's still going to be fun
I
to
encourage
see.
all the fans to go support your local breweries out around the stadium. Go hang out and watch the game, enjoy baseball, but do not go to the stadium. Do not buy a ticket.
Yep. The
Let's
problem is
try.
is that that they're the Broncos, the Rockies just announced.
Uh-oh. I think you're muting. Can't hear you. All right, we'll give it a second. All right, I think we got you back.
Perfect. The problem is that there are so many season ticket holders for the Rockies that, to start the season, they're allowing 21,000 fans and some change. Every season ticket holder is going to be at that game.
Yep.
So again, from a sellout standpoint, we're going to, continue to do well from attendance every year. And here's the thing. I don't blame my parents, but I blame my parents because I mean, they go to my mom loves the Rockies. She's a huge Rockies fan, biggest probably Rockies fan in our family by far. And I mean, they're in Arizona right now watching spring training. They've probably gone to 6 or 7 games so far this week, and they can't get enough of it. So win 100 games, lose 100 games, they'll be there, rain or shine.
Everybody in Denver, we consider ourselves a football town, and I don't buy it, man. I don't buy it. I think we are just as big of a baseball town as we are a football town. When the Rockies are good, they are the talk of the town, man. They are on everybody's mind. It's just that they're not good that often, so we only casually talk about them. We still go support them, but when they are good, I think people get more excited over them than the Broncos sometimes.
I think I agree with you on that one. The energy around the stadium, it's just this weird thing that you get when you go to a Broncos game because the Broncos have been so ingrained in the city for 50+ years, 60+ years, more so than the Nuggets or Avalanche, even though that those teams are clearly better than the Rockies. But if the Rockies have any sense of making the playoffs come August and even into September, the energy that it creates, and then all of a sudden you're at 45,000 people every single game. I don't care if it's Wednesday at 1:00 or Friday at 6. It's and they're fun. Like when they're good, they're good. Like they're fun to watch.
Yep.
They have a lot of good players that are just fun. Like even though when we were bad, Nolan Arenado is still a fun third baseman to watch play baseball. Trevor Story's a fun shortstop to watch play. Charlie Blackmon is not a fun outfielder to watch play baseball.
He did have some big years. He was a above average defender for a few years, and he was an elite hitter for a few years. He is on the back end of his career, so it's hard to knock him a lot, but he was really good for a while.
I mean, DJ LeMahieu, to be honest with you, he wasn't a fun player to watch.
Not at all.
He was the most consistent Rocky we probably had in a while. He was like a Todd Helton from a consistency standpoint, but not a fun player. He was just would go out there and you forget that he was on the field.
Go out there, do your job very well, and go home. He didn't say much. He didn't do much. If going back to Rockies being Colorado being the Rockies town, if I would bet, if I took a poll of 1,000 random fans, and gave them an option of their most memorable sports event was, I bet you that 2007 World Series run would rank 1
for a lot of people.
Over anything that the Broncos done, except for maybe because they're Super Bowl wins. But I don't think I've ever seen the States, because it was over a more elongated period than one Super Bowl weekend. It was a month and a half of just the most insane come from behind wins, winning streak and playoff runs. So,
was that your favorite of all time?
It was probably the most excitement I've had in sports like I'm saying, for the long. Now winning the games for the Rockies was not the equivalent. If they could have capped it off with the World Series win, it would definitely be the number 1. But because they couldn't cap it off, it would not be. But I think the excitement level inside of like wanting to watch every single game and wanting to like be glued in front of the TV for all 9 innings of every single game. It was as fun of any time I've had watching Colorado sports.
I'll tell you this though, and I've been to hundreds and hundreds of Rockies games, hundreds of Broncos games throughout my life. To your point, from a fan standpoint, opening day in Denver is unlike anything I've ever experienced from a fan game standpoint. When not last year but the year prior, obviously when we opened up with the Dodgers,
it's like a Mardi Gras event down. They close down like Blake Street and Lodos, and everybody's walking the streets. It's a big event. It's really
I brought my friend Tom out, who's a huge Dodger fan, massive Dodger fan. So he came to opening day against the Dodgers one year, and we were leaving the stadium, and we just got the rooftop tickets. Nothing crazy. But he was leaving. He's just like, that was the craziest, most fun game from an opening day standpoint.
Yeah.
He's like, it trumps the Dodgers every single year from an opening day standpoint. Like it's nothing like this. He's like, your fans go absolutely crazy for opening day. And that just circles back to your point of from a Rocky standpoint, the fans, they truly love just the experience and the excitement that it brings. Unfortunately, it's very short-lived. It's for all of 2 days in April, and then if we make the playoffs in September and October, that middle run is kind of boring.
So we got 28 years. This will be our 28th year since inauguration, I think, right?
1993.
Yeah, and so the Marlins were inaugurated that year too. They've won 2 World Series, right? Is it 1 or 2?
I think it was one with.
Okay. Well, they definitely.
No. I think it's 2.
Right?
I think it's
okay.
2. Yeah.
And then the Tampa Bay came in after, and they went to a World Series. So we've got them on that. And who was the other team that came in with Tampa Bay? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I think they might have won a World Series, but we're coming up on like Cubs territory of 100 years. It feels like.
I mean, we still got a couple. I mean, 70 years is still a long way to go.
Yeah, it's in the headlights, so you could see it. You can see
100%.
it fast approaching.
No question. So last but not least, Avalanche.
So McKinnon's healthy again.
They're healthy. They need to make one move, in my opinion. I used to be a huge fan, but they gotta go trade for a goalie.
Yeah.
Joe Sakic needs to get a top tier. We are not going to win the Stanley Cup with the goalies that we have on our roster. End of story.
And Grubauer he's great. He's good. He is an above average goalie. But it would be nice to have an upgrade at backup goalie at the very least.
He would be a phenomenal backup.
Yeah.
Him
at the backup would be, he would be phenomenal as a backup. I'm saying just to get an upgrade at the backup goalie so that we have 2 competent goalies would go a long way. But if you can upgrade our starting goaltender, then you have to do it. I don't know if there's any options to upgrade our starting goalie.
There really aren't from a top tier goalie standpoint right now. Who
was our boy a few years ago? Before Grubauer, he was the reason the Avalanche made it to the 1 seed or the 2 seed on that real young team like 3 or 4 years ago. Do you remember who the goalie was?
It was like what 20. No, it was a while ago.
It was like 2015. It was like 2015. They had a really, really good out of the blue year when nobody thought they were going to do good. Ended up getting like the 2nd seed, and then next year they were awful, and the next year they were awful. So it was like at least 5 years ago.
I'd have to look. I don't know. Not off the top of my head.
So not off the top of my head either. But to my point, he took over come playoff time. The Avalanche were not a good team, and when you watched them, they were giving up 3 to 4 times the amount of time on attack versus what they were on attack for. And he was just lights out. And in hockey, the key to winning an NHL Stanley Cup is that goaltender getting hot in the playoffs, because they control any sport more than they have more to do with winning than any position, including the quarterback in the NFL, than any sport.
I agree. Completely agree. Because what they'll do is like they're able to make up for the gaps that are happening in front of them. So right now, the defense for the Avalanche is it's their Achilles heel outside of goaltending. They're out of position 50% of the time. Kadri drives me absolutely insane. From his positioning, puts the Avalanche in really compromised situations where if you had that top tier goaltender, it's not as big of an impact. But because we don't have that, it just is a bigger spotlight on those issues where that we shouldn't have. I mean, we're winning today, which I think we're up 3-1 on the Kings, which is nice. But
we shut them out the other day
again.
So that was
the
nice.
Kings are a team we should beat every single time.
Right. We split with the Coyotes before that, and the Coyotes are terrible. I think we won in overtime.
Correct.
So it was like you go into the game, into a 2-game series against the Coyotes, you expect two wins in regulation, and we got 1 win in overtime. So
this is the craziest thing, though. Who would have thought this, though? Would you have thought at this time in the season, obviously it's still early. We have some, couple months left before, the playoffs, but, no one would have thought that the Avalanche, being as talented as they are, as highly hyped as they were going into this season, to be literally a game out of being out of playoffs.
Yeah.
Period. Like they're on the brink of just not making the playoffs at all, let alone winning the Stanley Cup. And that's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I think last week when I was looking at the standings before our episode, they were 15th in the league in points. I mean, they were everybody's Cinderella darling. They were the pick to win the Stanley Cup. There were so many polls taken who's going to win, who's best set up for the future. And
Correct.
Very rarely is the team that's going to be the favorites to win this year the team that's best set up for the future for the next 3 years. And the Avalanche were that pick for
they absolutely
majority
were.
of the experts. So it is disheartening. It's not the same story as the Nuggets. The Nuggets, everybody's hopeful that we can take the next step. But it was expected that the Avalanche took the next step. They have the talent, they have the pieces, and everybody thought they got better in the offseason. So it's a matter of just doing it.
Yep. Perfect.
All righty.
Cool. So next week we're going to bring on, we'll call him our Rockies insider.
Yes.
To come in and talk to you a little bit about spring training, what he's seeing currently from a Rockies roster, and then definitely fill out our brackets and do our
brackets and see how we do. Yeah. But until then, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a comment if you want us to talk about something that we haven't talked about. And just boost our confidence a little bit. Tell us how good we are.
Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate those. If you're going to give us a thumbs down, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, nobody likes that. But anyways, we'll see y'all next week.